Mar asked her father not to say such things. The hero asked what was going on, and the Duke explained that a major factional struggle was currently raging in Yugdia. In short, he and Greenwich were fighting for different approaches to the same political strategy. The hero asked the man why he was sure that the instigator was the House of Greenwich. He said that this was revealed thanks to reports from their spies embedded in the ranks. The man showed the weapon and said that besides, the knife that was used to attack Marie the first time was not like that. This type of knife is not produced or sold in the lands of Astasia. It can only be found on the black markets of some parts of the Marquisate of Greenwich. Marie understood everything. Garrow said that no matter what happened, he would protect Mrs. Marie. Amanda shouted that a man without determination would not cope with this task, and she would take responsibility and protect Mrs. Marie even at the cost of her life. They exchanged displeased glances. The Duke said he was relying on them both and asked them to work together, starting with a celebratory party for Marie's recovery next week. He said that there were a lot of guests expected. It was a celebration and he didn't want it to be marred, but they should all be on their guard. The day of the party. The hero walked through the city thinking about the gift. He remembered Amanda shouting at him that it was a celebration in honor of the lady's recovery, and he had not prepared a gift. He then said that he had to be with Marie as a bodyguard and did not have time to go out and buy gifts. Amanda showed her gift, saying that she had already prepared it, and the hero was surprised that she had time. The knight said that neglecting the holiday under the pretext of work is low, and in Astasia, everyone is obliged to give gifts because the lady is really looking forward to it. If she says so, then the hero has given up. Amanda sighed, saying that one bodyguard would be enough until the evening party, and he should find something before then. The hero walked through the city thinking that it was easy to say, but what could you give him anyway? He was also irritated by his hat. He borrowed it from Lan to hide his face, but it seemed to only draw attention to what kind of clothes this old man was wearing. The hero understood that he could not compete with the nobles in price, and in appearance he was also losing, so what should he do? Off to the side he saw a merchant who was asking a passerby if he wanted to try his luck. He had magic stones for only a silver coin. The hero became interested, and eavesdropped. The stranger asked the owner if there was a poison dragonstone among these stones. The hero was surprised by his request. The merchant said that if he was lucky, there might be. He explained that there were two reasons why they were not recognized, or they had too little magic to use. The merchant said that either it contains super complex magic that modern technology cannot recognize, and if he pulls out the second option, then in his hands will be the magic of the S level, which is owned by great magicians, and the poison dragon is not just a dream. The hero thought about magic stones. He asked the old man if he had ever seen anyone pull out a winning one. The man replied that a merchant who talks about customers quickly goes broke, so he couldn't tell. The stranger said that, in other words, it was like a lottery without winning. Ron said he would take them and asked to show them closer. He told him to choose any. The guy thought that if he couldn't compete on price or appearance, such a gambling gift wasn't a bad option. He asked the merchant to look at the stones in the far box. He started rummaging around the box and for a moment felt as if his back had warmed up. Maybe it was a sign to choose the one he was holding. He pulled out a black stone and told the merchant that he would take it. The man said that he would get 1 silver coin. The stranger asked the hero why he chose such an ugly stone, because there were beautiful ones there. The hero replied that even though it was unsightly, it was shoved into the far corner. Maybe that's why the boxes. The hero thought that he looked like he was not needed by anyone and was similar to him. Having apologized, the hero said that he needed to hurry back and said goodbye. The stranger found this darkness beautiful. A little later in the alley, the stranger held the stone, telling the owner that he was not guilty. Sitting on the man's corpse, he said that he was the kind of person who lost his head at the sight of beauty. Late in the evening, Mira thanked everyone who had specially arrived on this day for the celebration in honor of her recovery. An incredible number of guests. Jerome mentally hoped that everything would be fine, but it could not be ruled out that among the guests there was someone connected to the house of Edouard. He thought that the decision to wear the uniform of a servant for covert protection was right. He watched as the guests gave gifts to Marie. But as a servant, it was difficult to stay close to Mistress Marie. But it was good that Amanda was there. Amanda at this time offered to take the gifts of the mistress. A woman approached Marie, inquiring about her condition. It turned out to be her aunt. The hero noticed that she had completely recovered. and that was wonderful. The girl smiled radiantly while he watched her. He jerked himself away, remembering that he had to work to avoid suspicion. He froze when a man appeared in front of him and apologized, but he was rudely called out. The young man asked if the hero was really watching Marie. The hero replied that he was not, but the young man interrupted him, saying that the lowborn had almost crashed into him and dared to fall in love with Marie. His actions deserved 1,000 deaths. He added, however, that since it was a festive evening and he was in a good mood from the wine, he would not do anything and the hero should thank him. The hero replied that he was very grateful. He did not understand what kind of person he was. The young nobleman said that he'd come such a long way and did not want to ruin everything with stupid actions, otherwise all his efforts would go to waste. He walked towards the crowd where Marie was standing and greeted her, saying that they hadn't seen each other for a long time. The girl replied that she had indeed called him Randy. Time passed, and the entire hall became empty. The hero thought that everything seemed to have gone without incident. He saw a girl to the side, and since she was whole, it was fashionable to exhale. He went out to her on the balcony, asking if everything was okay with her. She said everything was fine, and said that Ron must be tired from being a servant and guarding her. She added that thanks to him and Amanda, she had a wonderful party today, and thanked him. She asked if Ron Randy, who was at the party, remembered. The hero answered that he remembered and asked if he was a close friend of the lady. The girl said that he is her fiancé, although now he has become very distant and most likely her future husband will change. The hero did not understand why he felt relieved to learn that her fiancé could change, and yet marriages of nobles are so unfree. The hero remembered how Randy behaved and was angry that such a person was her fiancé. He felt sorry for Mrs. Marie, and besides, she clearly had no desire to communicate with Randy. He thought that if she was going to be married to someone she didn't love, he would rather take Marie for himself. He jerked himself away and shook his head, not understanding what he was even thinking about, because if he did this, Dokusatsuzareta would kill him. He needed to change the subject. After a silence, the hero said that the moon was very beautiful. The girl, embarrassed, called out to him. He looked at her questioningly. The girl was thinking about the night, the moon, and they both looked at the sky. Such an old-fashioned confession. She gave it a 5 with delight. She thought she was a sly woman, but she wanted to know what Rhonda thought of her, so she brought up the groom, but got this perfect answer. They fell silent again. The hero did not understand whether it was possible that he had said something unnecessary. Remembering the gift, he handed it to Marie, saying that it was in honor of her recovery. The girl was surprised by the magic stone, and the guy said that he thought that she would rather like the gift. He left saying that it was time for him to go, because he still had cleaning to do. The girl called out to him, thanking him. She said that she was very happy and would take care of him. A few days later, the Duke announced that the matter was approaching its denouement. The hero asked again. The man said that, to put it simply, they had collected all the pieces and cards to corner the Marquis of Greenwich, and there was only one final move left. And if he tells them this, it means that the enemy is strongly pressed, and will probably start to act more desperately. The Duke said that they know their goal, their task is not to kill Marie, but to kidnap her, because if they marry her off to someone from Greenwich, they will have a chance for revival. He said that initially the Greenwich and Astasia houses were planning an engagement, but due to political differences, he broke the contract. However, it seems that the Greenwiches did not give up on the idea of marrying with Marie. The hero considered this strange. If the Greenwiches' goal was to become related to Astasia, then why did they try to kill her? The Duke also did not understand this and arrange a political marriage, but one thing is clear, that the Greenwiches are planning to kidnap Marie for protection. He will name her prospective groom to them. The Duke said that the heir of the Marquis of Greenwich is Randy von Greenwich. The hero was surprised. The hero realized that that disgusting guy was the heir to the Greenwich house and the fiancé of Mrs. Marie, which is why Lona had spoken like that then. Because of the conflict between the houses of Astasia and Greenwich, this is probably true, but judging by his behavior at the party, Randy still hasn't given up on Mira. The Duke said that the probability of kidnapping was high now, but after the assassination attempt, murder could not be ruled out either, and he asked them to be extremely vigilant for another month. The hero understood everything and said that he would do everything to protect Mari. Sometime later, the hero stood before the girls in a new repertoire, and they asked what was wrong with him. He answered that he was now a butler, and from now on he would act according to the strategy of butler's skin. Amanda asked what that meant, and he explained that Amanda in that form could freely act as a bodyguard, and he would be next to the mistress as a butler and cover for her. Amanda asked if he was implying that her security was not perfect. The hero explained that if, for example, poison were added to the food, it would be easier for him to cope if he was nearby. Marie, behind him, was happy that Rond would always be nearby. Marie said she liked the idea, and Amanda agreed once, and the mistress agreed. Marie said that 2-level security would calm her down. Next week she was invited to Tesla's house, so she told Rhonda to learn butler manners until then. But from what Rhonda had said, it was clear that it would be difficult. A week later, Amanda stood at the door and Marie got dressed up. Rond informed the lady that her carriage was ready. She told the hero that he was already quite like a real butler, in which case she would not hesitate to take him to Tesla's house. He thanked her and said that Tesla was her childhood friend, but given the timing of the invitation, he ran a check, but no connections to the Greenwich house were found, so she could communicate freely. Marie said that he was also reliable as a bodyguard. He replied that even if something happened, he would not let anyone touch her and she could be calm. She said that even this invitation to go out at such a dangerous time seemed reckless. He disagreed, but she added that it was precisely because it was dangerous that she was going out. If she had locked herself in the house after the assassination attempt, it would have been a disgrace to the ducal house. At such times, she must show herself to people and prove that she is well. Ron said she was very strong, and they finally set off. Later at Tesla's house, a young girl looked at Rhonda, asking if he was the man. Marie confirmed this, and her friend called the hero. He came up, asking what he could help with, and the girl said that she heard that he was also Mrs. Marie's bodyguard. The guy confirmed this and said that he was a bodyguard and butler, all in one, trying to earn his keep. The girl saw Marie's face and asked Rhonda if he was stupid for not understanding her. Then she told him to take good care of Mari. Later, the carriage was accompanied by guards. The hero asked if he really looked so unreliable. Maris asked if Tesla had told him that. He confirmed it and said that maybe if he thought he was an unreliable opponent, he would relax, and that was a plus. The girl said that she didn't think Tesla meant that. Ron told her not to worry, he would protect her properly. She was pleased, but asked if it was all part of his job as guest of honor. He hesitated. Suddenly their carriage shook. The girl screamed, and the hero calmed her down, telling her not to leave him. He wondered if this was an attack, but it was quiet outside. He thought that if this was an attack, Amanda and the Steel Ones would have already started fighting. He looked out of the carriage and froze. Amanda was lying on the ground, and he called out to her, not understanding what had happened. There was someone standing on top of the carriage, casting a spell. The hero froze, feeling something. He quickly jumped out with the girl before the carriage exploded. Holding Mira close to them, they flew off the cliff. The girl called him, and he shouted for her not to let go of his hand. He used the poison mana shell, and with its help, they landed safely. The hero, holding Marie in his arms, asks if she is okay, to which the girl gives a positive answer and says that poison magic is very convenient. He says he used a spell that makes poison semi-solid for a moment, creating a resilient shell, and he came up with it when he was trying to save a cat that was falling off a cliff, adding that the spell can be used for defense, but the effect only lasts for 2 to 3 seconds, but suddenly a lightning ball flies at them. The guy notices this and stops the ball with the poison ball spell, weakening poison. The ball evaporates, and someone on the hill says that the hero should not overdo it, and that he needs to capture the young lady alive. The stranger greets Rhonda, saying that they haven't seen each other for a long time. The hero remembers that he saw the stranger before and asks how he knows his name. The man replies that he has found out a lot and calls Rhonda a poison mage. He says that for almost 1,000 years, there have been no masters of poison magic among non-magical systems, adding that suddenly such a gloomy, unhappy guy like Rhonda has poison magic. The man smiles and says that how could he not be delighted when poisonous magic was born from the pain of when the hero's own father tried to kill him. He begins to attack Rhonda, shouting at him to show what he can do. Rond thinks that the enemy's goal is to kidnap Marie alive. However, he understands that for some reason the man is interested in him. The hero is going to take his rival away from Marie and creates a barrier around the girl with a poison magic spell. Delay and moves away, attracting the man's attention to himself. The man quickly moves towards Rhonda, using lightning magic, enveloping discharge. The hero surprises his opponent with his speed, but still dodges the blow. He is about to use poison magic and looks menacingly at the man. The stranger gets scared and moves away from the guy, laughing and admiring. He throws a knife towards Rhonda, but he quickly dodges it, causing the weapon to stick into the tree. The man says that because the poison magic kills with one touch, he is going to avoid close combat. The hero, looking at the knife, remembers that her maid wanted to attack Marie with the same weapon, but the investigation showed that the maid was only following orders. He realizes that an ordinary person would not be able to get his hands on a knife laced with purple dragon venom. Ron says that the one who gave the maid the knife and organized the assassination attempt on the mistress was his opponent, but lightning suddenly strikes the hero. The hero is badly wounded and falls to the ground. Marie is shocked by this, and the man is glad that he hit the guy. The stranger sees that Rond is still breathing and praises him for being able to survive such a blow. The man adds that he always makes those he kills remember his name before finishing them off, and tells them to listen carefully to his name. He leans towards Rhonda and says his name, Albrecht. The man holds a knife to the hero's face and tells him to remember his name and die so that it will be known in the afterlife. Marie, around whom the barrier has disappeared, shouts the hero's name and stretches out her hand, but Albrecht turns to her, saying that he is instructed to take her alive. Turning to her, he adds that he doesn't care what condition she's in, as long as she's alive, and walks towards Marie. However, a large magic ball appears behind the man. The ball flies towards Albrecht, but he dodges it and the ball explodes next to him, slightly hitting the man. At this moment, 4 magic balls are directed at him and surround him. They all explode, and a girl with a gun appears from above, who created these balls, and with the help of a fire mace spell, fire appears around his gun. She hits the spot where Albrecht was standing, causing the earth to collapse. However, the man quickly moved away from the explosions and the impact. Amanda Knight covers for Marie and asks her if she is okay. The girl replies that she is fine, and mentions Rhonda. The knight asks that while she distracts the enemy, Marie pass something to the hero. Amanda hands over the magical healing stone and says that it saved her too, but it is the last stone. Marie listens to her, and at this time Albrecht says that she should have just lay there and not moved. He adds that if Amanda wants to die so much, then he will help her name become famous in the afterlife, and takes out his sword. The man says his name and attacks the knight, ordering him to remember it and die. The opponent's weapons cross from the impact. Marie heals Rhonda, and the guy thanks her. The girl says that it is because of the magical healing stone from Amanda. The hero is surprised that Amanda has arrived and looks towards the fight. The knight dodges the attacks with her shield, causing her to be thrown back a little, and Rhonda calls her back. The girl attacks the enemy with a weapon that is still surrounded by fire. The hero remembers that he and Amanda agreed that if they encounter a strong enemy, she would become a shield, and his task was to take Marie away and think only about that, adding that if she's dying, to ignore it, to which Rond replies that he can't leave her to die. Amanda ordered him not to doubt her determination with feelings. She told the hero to remember that their priority was Marie's safety, and that he would leave her if necessary and go away. Rond looks at the top and thinks that there is a collapsed cliff to the east, a river to the west, a steep cliff on the other bank, and they won't be able to climb it, and a battle to the south. The only escape route is to the north. There is a forest behind the bridge, and if he and Marie get to the forest, they can hide and escape. However, the bridge is far away, and if they are noticed, Albrecht, with his speed, will easily catch up with them. However, there is no other choice, and Rond asks Marie if she can run, and the girl gives a positive answer. He says that when he gives the signal, she needs to run to the bridge with all her might, adding that he will follow her no matter what happens. He tells her not to look back, to look only forward and run, and Marie obeys him. Amanda, fighting and screaming, asks Rhonda what they are doing and orders them to run. She uses fire magic and directs the ball at the enemy, but he dodges it. The man asks if she has run out of ideas, since he has already seen this technique. Rond and Marie run towards the bridge, and Albrecht quickly approaches them. The man swings his sword at Marie. Amanda notices this and calls the girl, but Rond appears behind Albrecht and says that no matter how fast the man is, he will be able to intercept him on the approach. The hero uses deadly poison on the enemy. The opponent falls to the ground, making Rond happy that he was able to hit it. However, suddenly, when Marie was already approaching the bridge, lightning strikes it, causing the structure to collapse, and the girl is shocked by this. Suddenly, Rond sees Albrecht standing on a beam from the bridge. The hero is surprised by this and asks why the man is moving. because he definitely injected poison. The opponent says that if you fight a poison mage, you need to use a poison protection magic stone in advance. Rond recalls that the man specifically told him to avoid close combat. Albrecht replies that this was also part of the technology, and lightning strikes the rock. A large boulder falls between Amanda and the heroes. The man tells Marie and Rhonda that now they have nowhere to run, and the night will not stop them. He smiles menacingly and says it's time to finish. Albrecht says that he always finishes work in 5 minutes because any longer is indecent. He adds that there are 30 seconds left and praises Rhonda for making him use it all the time. The man says that this is the end of the hero and calls down a sound wave with lightning. However, Rond delays the attack with the dragon's poison magic purple dragon. Albrecht sees the dragon's venom absorbing the lightning and is delighted by its appearance. Rhonda controls the dragon at this time. The poison dragon, having finished absorbing the lightning, heads towards the enemy, but he is delighted that in front of him is the legendary magic that disappeared 1,000 years ago. The dragon grabs Albrecht, and they fall into a cliff. Marie and a tired Rond are happy about this. The hero says that he will check, and calls the girl to stay where she is, because the edge is dangerous due to the collapse, and she listens to him and asks to be careful. The guy looks down and thinks that even if the man survived, he still won't be able to get out of there. He admits that Albrecht is a dangerous mercenary, and if the Grivnici did all this, then Marie is in even greater danger. However, suddenly Albrecht stands on a boulder and says that worrying about your position and deflecting the dragon's trajectory at the last moment sucks. Rond is very surprised by the enemy's appearance, but he says that the hero is not cool at all. Albrecht casts the Lightning Island spell on them. The hero understands that he has overexpended magic and will be able to counterattack. Marie jumps in front of Rond and blocks the attack. However, the purse on the girl's neck begins to glow as the lightning approaches them. The hero wakes up in an unknown place and does not understand where he is. He sees a forest in front of him, in which there are large mushrooms. Ron turns back and calls Marie away, only to see her lying on the ground with her clothes torn. He calls her, and the girl wakes up and says that she is glad that he is safe, but the hero blushes and points to her clothes. A piece of her skirt was torn by a tree branch, and she doesn't understand how it got there, and covers her legs in embarrassment. Ron wonders what could have somehow transported them to this place. He recalls that at the moment when Albrecht's attack almost hit, it seemed to him that Marie's purse lit up. The hero asks what was in the purse, to which the girl replies that it contained a magic stone that Ron gave her, but upon opening the thing, she is surprised by something. She takes out a broken stone. The guy says that even if the artifact fell apart, it is definitely the stone he gave. Marie realizes that the stone worked and they found themselves in the forest. She says that it looks like the magic stone she has is a teleportation stone, and even her father couldn't buy them all because they are rare, which makes Ron surprised that the artifact is so expensive. He doesn't understand in his mind how the stone ended up in that suspicious stall. Marie says, laughing a little, that Ron saved her again. The hero, blushing a little, says that this time she saved him, and adds that when they return, Amanda will kill him. He suggests that Marie go back, but the girl warns him that a tree is trying to attack him from behind. Rond quickly reacts and poisons the tree, causing it to die. The girl expected such a sharp attack, and the hero says that if the enemy does not use healing magic, he will cope. Marie says that the evil tree is Trent, who is called the Forest Killer, which surprises the guy because she knows a lot about monsters. The Trents live by where they live, to which the girl replies that it might be difficult. She adds that Trents are found all over the continent, and Ron says they will have to move forward. The hero says that he will go first and deal with the monsters himself. He asks Marie to follow him and not get hurt, and the girl obeys him. While they are walking, the guy asks the girl if she is okay, to which she replies that everything is fine, but the hero notices something about her. He says that it's good that they are in the forest, because there are few monsters that gather in packs. Adding that the weakness of poison magic is won versus many battles, and it is bad at dealing with mass attacks. But even if they encounter such enemies, there are many hiding places in the forest. Rond and Marie notice an unknown fruit, and the guy asks if it is edible, to which the girl becomes worried because of the dangerous color of the fruit. The hero begins to eat the fruit and says that it is a little sour, but juicy, and offers it to the lady, to which she loudly refuses. However, Ron says that it is important to maintain water balance in the forest, but the girl still has doubts. The guy reassures her that if there is poison, he will immediately neutralize it and remembers that she swallowed several times and that she is very thirsty. Marie agrees and takes a bite of the fruit, and the hero immediately uses antidote magic to weaken the poison. The girl understands that the fruit is sweet and tasty and is happy about it. The antidote magic again, while she eats. He says that even if the poison is immediately neutralized, it is still hard to suffer every time you eat, to which Marie replies that she can endure it. However, the hero suggests trying something. The girl is surprised that she can now eat without pain. She asks what Ron did, to which he replies that he used magic called microvenom. He explains that microvenom dilutes the poison, turning it into medicine, and can be thought of as a healing magic for poisons. Adding that now you can eat the fruit without fear, Marie asks to eat another one. Later, they make their way through tall grass, which gives them poor visibility, and suddenly a large wasp flies out from under the grass. Ron casts a poison wall spell just in front of the girl and warns Marie that it was a soldier bee, and her sting will paralyze her with poison for several hours. He adds that he knows all about poison, but the girl says that poison magic is not an enemy for the bee soldiers. She warns that this monster attacks in a flock, and a group of bees is flying towards them. Ron was frightened by the pack of monsters that appeared. The hero calls upon the magic of the poison ball, deadly poison on enemies. Marie sees a battle behind the wall and warns Rhonda where the monsters might attack from. The hero tries to fight off all the bees, but suddenly there are even more of them. He notices that one of the monsters wants to fly towards Marie. However, the guy quickly kills the bee, but he understands that there are too many enemies, and he does not have time. Thinking that if he uses deadly poison for instant killing, he needs time to prepare the magic. The hero still uses the weakening poison, and he thinks that this magic is weaker, but it can be quickly released in series, which makes it more effective. He's determined to stop the monsters from attacking Marie, but even the current magic can't handle them all. Rond threatens the bees, but they come close to him. However, the hero throws them away from himself with the help of magic, causing the monsters to die. He uses the weakening poison again, but notices that several bees have broken through to the other side. The enemies are heading towards Marie, and the girl also decides to attack them. She uses wind magic, with an explosion. The monsters fly into pieces because of this, and Rhonda praises the girl. Suddenly, one of the bees stings Marie's hand, causing her to cry out in pain. The hero fears that if the poison paralyzes her, the monsters will immediately finish them off. The girl throws away the bee with wind magic bullet. Ron runs to the lady and says that he will neutralize the poison now, but she is surprised that something happened to his face. The guy's face is completely swollen, and Marie says that the monster's poison doesn't seem to be working because of the micro-poison the hero inflicted when they ate the fruit. The girl happily says that now they are not afraid of poisonous monsters, to which Ron replies that he still does not want to see the bee soldiers anymore. Afterwards, they stayed in the forest for 4 days, and one night in a shelter, the hero looks around the area and asks Marie if she is cold. The girl replies that everything is fine. Ron muses that the daytime temperatures are still bearable, but the nights are cold. He looks at the lady and asks if this life is apparently new to her, adding that she is the only daughter of the Duke of Astasia and she was probably looked after and did not know any need. For these 4 days, to satisfy her hunger and thirst, she ate poisonous fruits, was stung by bees, and slept without a bed right on the ground. The hero praises that even so, the girl never complained and remained steadfast. He asks her to express everything, complaints or whining, because there is no one around, so she can dump everything she endures on him. However, Marie says she is having fun. Rond is surprised by this and asks how she can be cheerful, since it is unknown when they will be able to get out of the forest. The girl blushes and wants to answer that it's because she's with him, but she changes her answer and says that she has never had such an experience and it is all new to her, and laughs awkwardly. The hero also laughs embarrassedly and calls Marie strong. He tells her that if something happens, she should tell him everything, because she can't be stressed, and the girl thanks him. Later, Marie is still shivering from the cold, and Rond, noticing this, covers her with his jacket. The young lady blushes and thanks him, and in her thoughts she compares this warmth as if it were the hero himself who was giving it to her. After looking around, the guy says that there are no monsters nearby. Marie tugs at the guy's sleeve and calls him, and the hero turns to her in surprise. They freeze for a few seconds, looking into each other's eyes. However, Ron turns away and says that it is time for bed and is going to keep watch outside for a while. The girl, a little offended, obeys him. On the outside, the sad one also convinces himself that he did the right thing. Looking at the sky, he notices that the stars seem to blur. Several weeks passed while Ron and Marie were wandering through the forest. They decided to stop and eat roasted meat. The hero is happy about this, and the girl says that she heard that the meat of the deadly bear is tasty, and it turned out to be true. He thanks the lady for her mastery of fire magic. The guy adds that he is surprised that Marie has 2 types of magic, to which she replies that she only has a basic level of fire. Ron says that this skill allows them to eat fried meat. Continuing the hike, the hero worries whether they will be able to get out of the forest, because Marie is at her limit and needs to find a way out quickly. A boy and a girl notice a bear, and the animal, which is in excellent health, aggressively moves towards the couple. Ron is about to use magic and asks Marie to step aside. The guy, saying that he had enough bear meat, uses a poison ball with deadly poison on the animal. The fire bear's condition is at 0, but the hero asks if the girl heard voices along with the roar of the monster. They look around and try to listen to the sounds. Marie replies that she can still hear but cannot make out what they are saying. She suggests the guy check. Ron tells her to be careful, because it is unknown whether strangers are friendly. The girl points to the top and says that people's voices can be heard from there. The hero fears that it could again be a mercenary like Albrecht. Marie is excited that this is the first contact with people in weeks, and they cannot miss this chance. Ron realizes that the girl looks exhausted, and that it's worth taking a risk in trying to make contact. He agrees to the proposal and climbs to the top. The guy asks Marie to hide until he checks if it is safe there. He sees a big monster heading towards some girl. Ron decides whether the stranger is friendly or not, and then calls on the spell to help her. However, he understands that from his position, the poison ball could also hit the girl if the poison spreads, but it's too far from direct contact. The animal has already come very close to the girl, and the hero understands that he will not have time and will have to take a risk and shoot a poison ball. Suddenly, Marie appears and uses wind magic bullet. Ron is surprised by her appearance, and the monster runs towards them. The girl tells Ron to proceed on his own. He uses a poison ball with deadly poison on the animal. The armored bear's health is at 0. Rhonda and Marie run to the victim and ask if she is okay and that she should not be afraid. The stranger, trembling with fear, asks if this is true, and the heroes notice that she has long and pointed ears. An elf stands before them and thanks them for their help. The elf introduces herself as Kutanar Aga Sizelphone Geyseria. Thanks again for saving her in a dangerous situation. Ron cannot pronounce her name and asks to be called just Kute. The hero, noticing her ears, asks if she is an elf, to which he receives a positive answer. Marie is delighted by this and says that it is an honor to meet an elf in the forest, to which Kut replies that she feels awkward when people say that and asks if they are people. Ron gives a positive answer and introduces himself to her, thinking that it is not yet clear what kind of Kute she really is, and decides not to reveal Marie's identity. He informally introduces Marie, causing her to blush and say that they were supposedly adventurers, but they fell into some kind of trap and ended up in the forest. The elf asks the girl why her face suddenly turned red, and Ron asks if Marie is okay and if she has a fever. The girl says that she is fine, but thinks about the fact that the hero suddenly called her by name without formalities, because he is always polite with her, but spoke as if they were in love. Marie thanks Kut, but she does not understand why she said this. The young lady changes the subject and talks about the ears of elves. Ron says he knew of the existence of elves, but that meeting them is rare. His companion adds that even high-ranking officials in the kingdom do not know where the elves live. Kute replies that her race rarely leaves its elves. The guy asks why the monster attacked her then. The elf is a little hesitant about the answer, and asks her if she would like to tell her story, to which she replies, the elves are hunting in the village of the World Tree. Marie clarifies that elves are called hunters of the World Tree, and Kut replies that yes, and they believe that an elf only becomes an adult if he can hunt alone. Kute adds that she has never hunted game on her own, and that children younger than her are already recognized as world-class hunters. Because of this, the younger ones laugh at her, and the adults look at her coldly. Ron says he understands her feelings, because he was also a loser in his family, and Marie is trying to interrupt him. The elf calms the girl down and says that she still wants to become a hunter of the World Tree as soon as possible. So she decided not to return to the village until she learned to hunt alone. However, when she stepped outside the protective barrier, she was attacked and calls herself a loser. Marie denies her words, saying that Kute's courage is impressive. The elf thanks the girl and asks if she can do something for them as a token of gratitude. Marie turns to Ron and clarifies that it is true that the elves are the masters of the forest and receives a positive answer. They ask Kute to teach them how to get out of the forest. She replies that if that's all they need, she will take them there. Ron says that walking through the forest with an elf guide is the best guide. Kute says that the hero can ask whatever he wants about the forest, and the guy thanks her for that. He points to her in the direction saying that he wanted to go there, but the elf replies that in that direction, he could go deep into the forest. Marie sees that they have become closer and, a little offended, says that something is wrong. Kute jumps on tree branches and moves with the help of vines and, having descended onto the head of the mushroom, asks Rhonda and Marie to follow her. The hero, trying to stop the elf, says that she is too fast and Marie might get tired, to which the lady, out of breath, replies that she can handle it and will be able to keep up with them. Kute, having descended from the mushroom, suggests stopping. Rhonda, also exhausted, wonders how much longer it is until they get out of the forest. The elf replies that with the pace of her fellow travelers, they will be able to get out in a couple of days, and the guy is happy about this and says that she helped them out. The hero realizes that they have already gone very deep into the forest. He offers the fruit to Marie and says that they are lucky to have met Kute. The elf asks the girl with confusion if she is tired, to which she replies that she will rest a little and will be fine. Ron says that people are not used to walking in the forest, unlike elves, and after these words, Kuta suggests resting slowly. She reaches out her hand and calls upon the spirits. Something like a seed appears on her palm. Marie does not understand what kind of spirits the elf is calling, and at that moment, a seed jumps from Kut's palm onto the ground. From the seed emerges a magical little creature with wings, and it turns out to be the spirit of the earth. Rag Titan and Kut asks the creature for a little help. The elf uses earth magic and spirit, which causes the tree branches to grow longer and a hammock to hang from them. Marie and Rond admire what Kute has done and praise her work, and the guy asks if it was the power of magic. The elf replies that she simply asked for spirits, and the hero, not understanding, says that he does not see spirits at all and assumes that only elves can see them. Marie, inspired, says that this is the first time she has seen the art of spirits. The hero asks if other elves can do the same as Kute. The elf replies that yes, they can, and much better than her. Rond remembers how Felix was praised in front of him for his high level of talent in the field of magic. He asks Kute if she wants to fight forest monsters and win. The elf confidently answers that she wants to defeat the armored bear, which even the village cannot handle, and proudly bring his head. The partners, feeling awkward, Rhonda says that these words were quite bloodthirsty, but it is still her desire to become stronger. The hero says that starting from the next day they will not avoid monsters, but will fight, to which Kut happily agrees and calls him teacher, and Marie did not expect this. Later, Rond asks the elf what kind of magic she has, as he feels like she is unsure of it, since the most important thing in magic is how to use it. Marie adds that if you understand what your companion can do, you can come up with something brilliant with this. Kuta begins to think and shows the first technique in which a piece of earth falls down. However, suddenly she lifts it from there, causing a height to appear. Rond is surprised by this and realizes that she can control the land to some extent. Afterwards, Kuta shows magic to attack and a long, sharp stone emerges from the ground. Marie says that the elf is strong in earth magic, with which the hero agrees. She adds that the earth spear is interesting, but it appears slowly and is so easy to dodge. Kute continues to show his magic and throws pieces of rocks at the earth spear, causing it to break. Marie says the piece of earth with rocks looks powerful, but while it's fast, it takes longer to concentrate to prepare than the spear. Adding that earth magic takes time to activate, which Kute agrees with. However, Rond has come up with something and clarifies that the elf is quite strong. After some time, Kute meets an armored bear and challenges him to a fight. But before finishing his sentence, the animal begins to growl loudly. He starts chasing the girl, and she uses magic to throw pieces of rocks at the bear's face. Kute calls upon the spirit for help, and the animal is surrounded by plants making their way through the armor. These plants become thicker and develop thorns that injure the bear. However, the enemy resists and pulls plants out of the ground and heads towards the elf. Suddenly, Kute removes the earth from under the animal's paws, causing it to fall into the hole. After landing, earth spears emerge from the hole and pierce the bear through and through. Kute is happy that she dealt with him, and Rond and Marie emerge from the bushes and praise the girl. The hero says they confirm that she defeated the ferocious armored bear single-handedly. He adds that Kute can now become a hunter of the world tree. The girl thanks him, laughing a little. Having grabbed the bear meat, the heroes continue on their way. Rond remembers Kute talking about the Forest of Delusions, and that the elves call the forest they are in that way. Marie said that if this is the Ganar Forest, then there is no way to make a mistake with the exit route. If you choose the wrong one, you can end up in Marquisate Edouard. The hero is a little surprised by this and asks Kute if the elves of her village know more about the human lands than she does, to which the elf replies that she only knows one way to people, but many elves know much more. Rond knew that the path that Kute knew was not necessarily safe, and he wanted to learn more in the elven village. Marie said that their elf was different, but she heard that elves were extremely distrustful of people, and if they approached the village, they could be attacked, which the guy agreed with. However, Kute suggests that if only Rond goes, everything might be fine. On the way to the elves, the hero asks the elf if Marie will be okay. However, Kute reassures him that a fortress made of earth, created with the help of spirits, is very strong. Rond agrees and says that his partner's magic is more suitable for protection and support. The elf says that learning how to use the skills was useful and now thinks that the villagers will recognize her. They come to the edge of the peak, and she says that villages are visible from there, but suddenly the girl is frightened by what she sees. She sees that the village is completely burned and destroyed. They ran into the village, and a black house comes out of the houses. Rond is also horrified by the sight and assumes that it was an attack of monsters. Kute replies that it was most likely done by a demonic bear, since this monster recently appeared in the forest. She says that because of this demonic bear, the bear monsters in the forest have become more aggressive, and even the elves have a hard time dealing with it. But suddenly someone shouts what she is doing. One of the elves is angry that she just left the village and already brought a man to such a difficult time. The elves try to drive Rondo away and order him not to enter their lands. However, Kute stops them, saying that the hero saved her life and shows the head of the armored bear, saying that she got it thanks to Rond's instructions. The elf sees the animal's head and says that the elf is deceiving them, and even though she is the elder's daughter, she still brought the man into the fold. The hero is surprised that Kate is the daughter of an elder, and her father, a huge elf, appears behind him. He asks Rhonda if he touched his daughter. Otherwise, he will feel bad, to which the frightened guy gives a negative answer. Turning to the elder, he says that he has a beloved. The head elf hugs his daughter, saying that he missed her, and Cut apologizes for leaving without asking. The father asks about her condition, and the elf replies that she is fine, but is worried about the village. He turns to Rhonda and says that he calmed down when he heard that he had a lover. The elder introduces himself as Ool, and asks to be called by that name. He says that the village suffered from an attack by monsters, and the appearance of a man made everyone wary. The man suggests moving to a house on the outskirts of the village, and if Rhonda has a companion to invite her to, there he will listen to their story. Having told everything, the elf says that he knows where they should go and where they shouldn't. He adds that the kingdom is not united, and if they go to an undesirable place, they may encounter trouble on the way back. The elder makes an offer, the gist of which is that he will show the safe way out of the forest if they help the elves defeat the demonic bear. Adding that when the bear monsters become more aggressive, it is because of the demonic bear, and as the guardians of the forest, they cannot ignore it. He turns to Rhonda, clarifying that his magic is non-magical. Marie says that she is surprised that the elves would ask a human for help, to which the elder replies that they would not ask a normal human, adding that usually, as soon as Kute brought a person, he would be killed, and asks if Marie knows why this did not happen. The man sees a spirit on Rhonda's head and says that he is blessed by them. The hero does not understand him, and the elder says that since ancient times, those who possess non-magical magic have been loved by spirits, and for elves, such people are special. Adding that seeing spirits around the guy, the villagers decided that he was not a bad person. Rond asks Kute if she also saw spirits at his place. Marie says that's why she thought Rond would be okay, and the elf apologizes to her for leaving her alone. The lady tells the guy that he can agree with Ull's proposal and help with the monsters, but the hero replies that it is dangerous, and he will go alone. The girl says that she doesn't want to wait alone anymore, and wants to go with him too. Ron warns her that they don't know what kind of monsters they'll encounter, and Marie recalls the battle with the bee soldiers. She says that poison magic's weakness is crowd control, and her wind magic will be useful. The girl turns to the elder and asks how the hunt for the monster will go. Ull replies that to protect the village and hunt, they split into teams of 3 or 4 elves, hunters and defenders, and he wants Ron and Marie to join the hunters. He adds that it will be difficult to work harmoniously with the elves right away and offers the position of a free squad, and Marie agrees. The elder says that soon Zill's team will leave as a second group, and this is a good time for the pair to go with them to the middle of the road and ask Zill about the monsters. Ron and Marie meet a team of elves consisting of 3 hunters, and one of them is outraged that people are going with them. He tells the couple that the bear monsters have become incredibly strong and warns them to be careful. The elf is about to leave and asks Ron which way he will go, to which the hero asks to go with them and see, to understand how the elves fight monsters. Zill is indifferent to the guy and tells him to do what he wants. Kut is not happy with the elf's attitude, and Rond is relieved that at least they were told a minimum of information. The hero says that he is surprised that Owl sent his daughter to the hunting party, to which the elf replies that her father does not single out his family. However, Kut says that most likely her father is now terribly worried and imagining this. Marie suggests that they deal with the monsters quickly so that Owl can calm down, to which Rond agrees. Suddenly, the partners hear a loud roar, and the elf realizes that Zill and his team have already encountered monsters. A trio of armored bears are heading towards the elves. Rond is worried that these monsters are huge and asks Kute if they will help them, to which the girl replies that hunters can handle such animals. One of the elves uses the help of the spirit and directs a stream of wind at the enemies. Thus, this element cuts the limbs of one of the bears. Marie is amazed that the blast of wind is much more powerful than hers. Next, another elf attacks the monster, also using spirit and water magic, hitting the animal right in the eye, piercing it right through. She then manipulates water and creates a water bubble around the enemy's head, causing him to suffocate. Zill is about to attack the last bear. He tells the man to watch the elves fight, and is going to use fire magic. A strong stream of fire lifted the bear into the air and burned him. The monster fell to the ground completely burned, and Zill looked at Rhonda with a grin. Kuta praises the elf, and Marie says that it is not for nothing that Zill is called a genius of spiritual magic among the elves. The elf says that people cannot do this and orders the people to leave their forest. Ron muses that this is how elven warriors fight with their spiritual magic, and the power of destruction is on another level, thinking that if the demonic bear defeats such elves and is frightened by his strength.
If you enjoyed this story, make sure to hit like so more anime fans can find it, and subscribe, because I've got even crazier manga recaps coming your way. Turn on the notification bell so you won't miss when the next overpowered hero takes the stage.